Hello.
Hello, Vinny.
Hi there.
Vinny.
Hello.
I've got some big news.
I've joined a dating app.
You are in the game now, yeah? And we are gonna find you the right girl.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another very special edition of the DualShockers discussions, where today I get to do something really cool with some really cool people. So I'm really excited to do this with today. I've been on a couple podcasts lately, and I've actually, to introduce first, I'm going to introduce the guy below me, Michael Tondro. I was on his podcast not that long ago, and you talked up this game about an interactive romantic comedy.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no way this could be good. And you know what? It's better than good. It's awesome.
It's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. And of course, I was just like, there's no way that I could have so much fun. And then, of course, I don't know who reached out to who first, actually. Paul, was it me or you? All I know is that I was like, this game's awesome. And then we connected.
Yeah, I think I saw you guys. You tweet about it, and then I responded to the tweet, and we followed each other, and then we DM'd each other a couple of times. I can't remember exactly the order of how it happened, but it was just on Twitter.
No, for sure. And of course, I have today, which is really awesome, the writer of 5 Dates, Paul Raschid. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good, guys. Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
No, of course.
Thank you for coming, man.
No, this is awesome. And of course, I wanted to do a code discussion with, obviously, with Michael and yourself, because Michael's the one that really got me into it. And of course, he's the one that platinumed the game so far. He's done a lot of work, so I'm glad that he's here. He can provide some more insights that I've missed. And I've played it now, I think, 4 out of the 5 dates. So yeah. I'm excited to hear it. But first of all, if you can you, Paul, can you just introduce yourself? Just tell us a little about yourself.
I'm a writer-director from London in the UK, and I've done 5 Dates would be technically my 4th feature that I've written and or directed. Yeah. So, and my second interactive after the Complex, which came out early this year. So, interactive filmmaking / FMV game directing and writing is kind of my thing at the moment. So, yeah, that's what I'm up to.
No, that's fantastic, and I know Wales Interactive has been doing it for a while, and even I said before, like I played a game called Late Shift and was totally like enamored of like, oh wow, this is actually like a legit movie with like characters in different locations, and like, oh, this actually looks like, when I think of FMV, I of course think of the crappy 90 ones with like
exactly.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So there's Night Trap. Night Trap is the one.
Yeah, Night Trap's the one. There's
the seminal one. Yeah,
that's the seminal one. And then of course there's, if I'm not mistaken, there was the one with Corey Haim that I can't think of, Light Switch or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
FMVs have such like a weird stigma behind them, and like bless you and Wales Interactive for just taking it back.
Yeah. I was aware that there was they had a sort of a reputation, so to speak, sort of going into it, and I think Bandersnatch, with the Black Mirror episode which came out, I think that also kind of did a world of good for interactive film / FMV games.
Yeah.
In sort of putting it in the mainstream conscious and showing, as well as following Late Shift, but on a mainstream level, what Bandersnatch did was to show that these things can be made in a very professional, polished way. That kind of paved the way to the work that we've been doing the past couple of years.
Yeah, interesting that Netflix did it before like a game company. Like Netflix is the one that paved the way,
or at least opened that up a little bit.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. Okay, and then how long? So you said you worked on, was it the last 4 projects has been with you? And which ones are them?
So the last two interactive sort of FMV games. So I did the Complex with Wales Interactive. We shot that last year, and then it came out in March this year, and then 5 Dates was sort of just, the whole thing was done in lockdown.
Can you talk about that? So
that's the $1 million question. Like, locked out, obviously, like this game is so obviously like relevant to what's going on, at least as of March. How the hell did you guys develop a video game starting in presumably March?
Yeah, it was crazy. It wasn't even March we started it in. So it was, I think, so basically the way the lockdown started was that the Complex came out in March. So that was like at the end of March, actually. So for April, that took up most of my time. And I was just kind of in lockdown. And I'd been working pretty hard up until that point. So I took a good sort of 5 or 6 weeks of lockdown where I just like enjoyed it, and I just, I played loads of video games, I exercised, I slept, I talked to my friends a lot, watched a lot of films, and just kind of recharged my batteries, really. Didn't do any work. And then, I was kind of getting itchy feet after that. I'm a workaholic most of the time anyway, but I was like, okay, I need to do something now. After like 5-6 weeks of like chilling, I was like, okay, I need to do something now. And luckily, John Guillermo, who was one of the producers on The Complex, like rang me up and was like, dude, I've got itchy feet as well. let's do something. So I was like, yeah, man, I'm so glad you called me. So like literally we were seeing that people were starting to make things remotely during lockdown. I think there was Netflix had just come out with something called Homemade, I think it was called. And then over here, there was a show called Stage with David Tennant and Michael Sheen that was done remotely. So there were people who were doing it, and they're using by various different means. So we kind of came up. We kind of wanted to do our own thing, and so I had this concept to do a dating interactive. And obviously I wanted to do it before lockdown, and it would have been good to do it, in real life. But I was like, it's an easy switch because I know a lot of people are trying to do, video dating, and a lot of the apps were integrating video calling and stuff like that. So it was kind of quite a topical thing at the time, and it was an easy switch from the original concept I had. And then I was like, look, we weren't sure about how our schedules were going to pan out. We weren't sure, whether how much the industry was going to open up, whether we only had a very small window to make this thing. So I was like, okay. He's like, how quick can you write a script? And I'm like, pretty quick. So I wrote the first draft of it in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
And at the same time, like Heather Baston, our amazing casting director, was going out to actors as I was writing the script. So we did like a massive kind of casting process where, some of the people I'd worked with before, who I wanted to work, like Georgia Hurst, who plays Grace. I wanted to work with her again, and we got her in. And then the others, we did a big sort of casting call and an audition process over Zoom, which was really cool. And it was actually the best kind of audition process you could really do because it was for video calling. So the way you actually saw them, it was like a screen test rather than, obviously on a normal audition process, you're in a blank room and they're in their normal clothes. And you can't, there's a suspension of disbelief because you can't quite, you have to imagine that them in the character's costume in the location. Whereas there was none of that because the whole thing was going to be shot in lockdown. The actors I could never meet. I haven't met some of the actors like in person ever. Like I haven't ever met them. I've only known our whole relationship is over a screen. So that's kind of how the process went. And then we sent them iPhone 11s. We sent them a light. We sourced the wardrobe from their own clothes. We sent them some set piece kind of important little props. I had to be very sparing when I was writing it. I had to be very mindful about, how many props I could do and if there were any special things that we needed to ship to them. And they did everything basically. We had a DP on our side, Harry Dash Stewart. We had me obviously directing, talking them through these things, but they were lighting themselves, wardrobing themselves, hair and makeuping themselves, worrying about their amazing performances that they had to do in an interactive, the actors really came through on this one, like big time. So, that was kind of the process. And then the edit was completely remotely done, over Zoom. We just shared screen with the editor, Alex, who lives up in Glasgow in Scotland. So it was like the whole thing from inception to writing, to casting, to production, to post-production was all done remotely. Without any two people being in a room together.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. I did read the piece of trivia that it was like, I think 7 hours of film or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I was actually going to ask, how was the shooting? But like, that's all iPhone 11?
It's all iPhone 11. Yeah.
Looks incredible. I agree. Well, lighting does a lot, but like the fact that like the actors were able to like light themselves and all that, like it looks phenomenal. Like I thought maybe you possibly sneakily broke lockdown a little bit to send like a
no not for what we wanted to. It's such a frustrating way of working because it's like you're taking all of that. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility putting on actors who it's usually these would be jobs that would be done by 7-8 different people, specialized people. So it's like they pulled it off.
But I guess like that kind of adds to the experience also because they are people at home during lockdown, like trying to figure out like making themselves look as best as possible for a potential new relationship. So it kind of
exactly. And that was one of the things, especially with the lighting. It was like we were having discussions, and originally we were playing with the idea of sending them all ring lights. But I was like, that's not how people, normal people do Zoom. That's how like influencers or vloggers do Zoom. The way normal people do it is they sit by a window and have natural light going to them. So it was like I wanted to try and get as much, but again, obviously, then if you're shooting all day, natural light changes and stuff like that. So it was a toss up between trying to keep something that looked really really polished and could stand up on a big screen, but also didn't look like it was just influencers talking to each other, and it looked unnatural. So that was one of the trickiest things, getting the lighting right.
Yeah. Did you send? I'm blanking on the actress's name, but did you send Paige a ring light?
Yeah, she was the one. She was the character that would have a ring light.
She is a character without a ring light, but she didn't. It's like the quality of natural light that was coming that she got in her flat, in her apartment, was amazing.
Yes.
I feel like this is perfect. But yeah, she would have been all right getting a ring light, but we didn't. We didn't send her one.
And then I guess my question then for Saffron, like for all of her art, was that her original art or was those planted?
Some of it was. Some of it, like the boob pots and stuff. We sent them.
I was just like, this is very specific. There's so many of them.
Yeah. But Georgia does her own art as well. So like it was a mix between stuff that we sort of sent her and stuff that was actually there in her own flat.
That's amazing. Now, you said you've worked with Georgia Hurst in the past, so that makes sense to get that connection. Because I was very shocked to see Georgia from Vikings and also Mandip Gill from Doctor Who. How did that happen on such a short notice?
I mean, the Mandip thing was Georgia. Obviously, we worked before on something, but Mandip, it was like we just, I wanted to work with her because I actually, I was aware of her before of her work, and she appeared on a podcast that a couple of my friends host called The Rule Not the Exception, and I listened to it and I've been like, man, it seems really cool. I'd love to work with her. And then this came along, and once I wrote the character Shane, I was like, could we, I was talking ahead of the casting director, and we just throwing names around. I was like, man, I'd love to, just as a pot shot, just try to send her the script, see if she would want to do it. And we sent her the script, and luckily she connected with the material, and we had a phone call and really hit it off, sort of like on a professional and a creative level, and yeah, she just really wanted to do it. So it's one of those things that you hope for, and it's kind of you don't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, So luckily she wanted to do it, and it was just one of those things.
No, that's incredible. I think so. When I first played the game, and I knew just by looking at pictures and seeing the different dates, I was like, all right, I think I know where I'm going to go for the first date and try to go all the way through. And that was supposed to be Saffron, just because I was like, definitely, I was trying to like almost role play as myself. But I noticed that the dark horse in me, which was Maya, there was just something about Maya specifically that drew me in, where I ended up for the third date, ended up picking her, which shocked me personally as a person. When it goes to the different characters, I mean, what are some of the creative choices that you decided for each individual people? Because I know that each of them are well distinct by different things in their lives. Specifically towards, let's just say Maya, as a shining example, like what was the process of creating that character and going and developing like the things that she goes through throughout the course of the game?
I mean, I think, for myself, especially now, I'm 27 now, going on 28. I think I'm kind of got to the stage where it's like I've had, quite a lot of life experience, and I've traveled quite a bit, been lucky enough to travel quite a bit in my life, and you just come across all sorts of people in your life, whether that's all the way from school up until like through your 20s and everything. So I have met a lot of people, and so I think just amalgamating my experiences of people that I've met in whatever, and just observing sort of like relationships in general between people that I know, that I've seen, that you see on TV, that you see on reality TV, which I think I'm a big fan of reality TV, because I think it is really good at in the same way capturing very archetypal characters and emotions and relatable things that we all go through. And I think more than ever now, those relationships and stuff is out there in the form of is discussed openly, on Twitter, on TikTok, in reality TV. So there's a lot of discourse that goes on about, relationships, personality types, those kinds of things. So it would be hard to sort of say exactly where, it's a whole melting pot of influences from all sorts, from, my personal life, from things I've seen on TV, from things I've read, from all sorts that sort of made me pick out these different archetypal characters that I then wanted to expand on.
Yes.
Especially in London, there's a whole, there are loads and loads of specifically young European people who move over here to work and stuff like that I've encountered at many different periods of my life, both here and abroad. So I think somewhere along the way that molded, Maya's character came from that, and then the other facets of her personality would have just been drawn from other and her backstory would have been drawn from other influences that's floating around, really.
Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, the thing that fascinates me the most with this game, and especially the acting and the writing, is that the character development is incredible. Especially just within the 3 dates, you get to know so much. I'm gonna just specifically for Grace and Paige, because they're the ones that like kind of surprised me the most with their development. I hated them both at first. First date, I was like, nope, these are not the girls for me. I cannot do this. But then by the time you get to the second and third date where you start to learn a little bit more about their characters, I love Paige now. She's a delight. Grace is like on the lower tier, but I like her now at least.
She's still my last date. I still got to do Grace.
Was that sort of character development / like twist, in a weird way to put it, was that like a deliberate writing thing, or did that just kind of come naturally? Or
that was a writing thing. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Michael. I think it's because I am from a film background, so whenever as a screenwriter, you're always looking for that kind of structure, that kind of arc for every character that you do, even if it's an interactive. There are ways, and I think interactive is even better because there are some people who will play it through and not pick out the small little subtleties and details of a Maya character. There are some things you learn about her that you can only learn on certain branches and certain decisions that you make to coax that conversation out of her. But then and then there's another playthrough where you don't coax up all those backstory elements, and perhaps that will change your perception and your experience with that character. So that's an added element that interactive can give you when you're writing. But again, I think it was easier for me because it was 3 dates, and obviously you at the very basic level of writing, people go by the 3-act structure. So for me, it was it was a good blueprint. It was a good skeleton, a good structure for at least the five different dating options, that there would be a story that you could follow, and in each date a certain threshold of information or plot points that I wanted to drop in as I would have done as you would do in a normal 3-act structure.
Yeah, and even doing it on such like a short scale. I mean, each date is what, Mario, like 8 minutes maybe. Like doing that kind of development at like 8 minutes each is like pretty insane. Like, I was really surprised how well it worked and how natural it felt. That's the credit to the acting and the writing. Like, this game feels human, and it feels real.
Oh, no, that means a lot to hear, man.
Even just a funny story. Like, on my first time playing the game, we played it on 6-1 Indies Extra Life stream, just in front of a bunch of people raising money, all that good stuff. And my mom was watching the stream.
Oh, no way.
And I went to go visit her on Thanksgiving, and she was asking, she was like, oh, so your 2 friends from California, because 2 of our teammates are in California. It's like, so your 2 friends from California, like, are they a thing now? I was like, what are you talking about? They weren't part of the thing. She's like, no, yeah, Vinny and Saffron, like, your friends. I was like, no, Mom, that was a video. I had to explain the whole FMV thing. And so to your credit, like, yeah, this is like a real human like interaction. It was so funny.
That's what drew me into it.
Yeah.
I think it's such a strange thing because it's set. I think that's because it's set over video calls, and I think now because that's just a visual thing that we all. I think all of us now, people are programmed that we visually now recognize people on video calls as something that's very familiar to all of us now. So more so than just if it was filmed traditionally. Perhaps it would be less immersive and it would be more voyeuristic. Whereas this, it feels more immersive because it's an actual frame that we are all so familiar with seeing, I think.
unfortunately.
No, unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately,
Yes, the interactions with Vinny and any of the women feel authentic in terms of even the choice that you pick. Even if you go off kilter with some of the choices, or if you go totally natural, they do have, I think, honest and realistic interactions, and I think that's what really sells the game in terms of like it being this narrative that evolves throughout the course of the 3 dates. Really, really loved how some of those things, and I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the best relationship in the game, which of course is with your buddy Callum. Mike, I know you have a lot of feelings about
Team
Callum.
Callum, baby. All right, so we have to. I'm gonna ask you right now. In one of your drafts, in that first draft, was there ever an option to date Callum?
There was never an option to date Callum, but
So
I regret that.
Paul.
Yeah,
There was
but
not.
Vinny is
Paul.
bisexual in one pair. If you specifically pick in one
Yes.
thing, so that was great.
Now, Paul, when you're writing, I'm sure you're writing 6 dates right now. Please just planting that seed right now. We need
But that seed is implanted many times. You're definitely not the first who wants a bit of Callum action, for sure.
Callum, the shorts and the robe, man. I want to just
The robe, Demi's robe, man. That was yeah.
I mean, all jokes aside, sort of. I wasn't. That's not really a joke. Demi, man. Demi is the shining star of this. Everybody's fantastic in this game, but like Demi is so good as Callum. He's so lovable. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've streamed this game a couple times now, and everyone in the chat is in love with him. Also, people that I've hung out here have like, oh, he's so adorable. It's like, and everyone has that. Like, can you date him? Like, sadly, no. But yeah.
No, everyone says that.
Mario mentioned the gender fluid choice that you can make. Like we did that in our first playthrough with Saffron, or no, it was with Grace.
I did my with Paige, I think. Or Paige? I don't know. It was so different, but yeah.
Yeah. But then like Callum, like you addressed that with Callum, and all 3 of us on the stream were like, "Is it happening?" But no, you broke our hearts.
Actually, that can tell into another question, and I'm curious. So, a majority of the relationships in the game, or that can be developed, are heteronormative in terms of just like man and female. Was there any consideration? I mean, I assume that it comes down to casting and timing and placement. So, by all means, so for homosexual relationships potentially, or maybe future games.
Well, 100%. I mean, I think that for this specific project, because again we had to turn around quite quickly as well. Absolutely. And I'm a heterosexual male cisgender. So for me, if I was going to go that path and I had to and wanted to write a character that was not heteronormative and not heterosexual, I would want to take a lot more time and do a lot more research to make sure that, because it's a whole it's a whole it's a culture that it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to do it lightly and rush something off like that, because it's not what I know. It's something that isn't inherent to me. So to do something like that I would have wanted more time to do it justice and make it real to the LGBTQ plus community. So that was why this was very much just it was a heterosexual run, because it was basically me writing what I knew most intimately, because that's how I identify. But definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, I would love to do, look into, doing and collaborating with, other LGBTQ writers, directors, to do in that direction for sure. That's definitely something that I would love to do.
No, and I figured
fine. I'll give you the pass for Callum. It's fine. It's fine. All right? You're off the hook.
I put in some hints. Like I wanted to put, I think some subtle hints and some ambiguity. Some
tension. Come on. That was
some ambiguity.
That's awesome.
Kind of going back a little bit, like it's just I do want to bring up like your past work and stuff. Like you're traditionally, so you had 2 features under your belt, like more in the horror space, and the complex is more like sci-fi thriller. How did you get from that to rom-com?
Yeah, that was a good choice. That was exactly the question.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, for me, I've always been interested in a diversity of genres. Growing up, that's been, I've loved all genres in the filmic space, video games, TV shows. I watch everything. And I think from the, growing up in the sort of the indie film world and coming up through that, it was just the way the direction that my career took was that genre films, which I love. I have a passion for horror, thriller, psychological thrillers, psychological dramas. That's a genre I have a lot of affinity to, and I want to continue to make things in that space as well. But I have other interests and other genres that I am passionate about, and that Devil Wears Prada is one of my favorite films. I was literally that's like top 5 film, and I watch it through every single time I see it on. So I have as I grow older and I get more experience in the industry, and my personal palette changes about what I want to be making and the stories I want to tell and the messages I want to tell and the themes I want to touch on. Hopefully I'll get more of an opportunity to explore different genres and go about different projects and tell different stories. So it was kind of something that I always wanted to do anyway. It wasn't something that I just kind of stumbled upon, or it was so it was great that unfortunately it was under the pandemic circumstances, but it gave me the opportunity to make this genre that I've always kind of had an affinity for.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
I guess in that same vein, what drew you to FMV in the first place, going from 2 features and then this new interactive medium? What did Wales come to you after seeing your work, or?
It was the producers of the Complex, John Giwamu and Jade Alexander, so John was someone who I've always really wanted to work with, actually. I've been aware of his work since he did The Machine and Don't Knock Twice. So, my first feature played at a film festival here called the Rain Dance Film Festival. And John's film Don't Knock Twice was also there in 2016. So I remember I was in the premiere of that, watching him talk and being like, oh, I'd love to work with this guy one day. And at the start of 2019, we connected somehow, and he saw White Chamber and was like, I really like White Chamber. I think I'd love you to pitch for this interactive sci-fi, contained interactive sci-fi that I'm making. And that turned out to be The Complex, and him and Jade liked my pitch, luckily. And I think for me, even the linear films that I've made, I've always been interested in structure and how to change and how to play with structure and play with timelines and alternate realities and how to construct those things differently. So non-traditional scripts and timelines and structure is something that I was always quite interested in. So being able to change my thinking and apply that to interactive storytelling was actually quite something that I was already kind of geared towards and really, really relished. And I've always been a casual gamer my whole life as well. So, and Bandersnatch had just come out. So it was kind of a lot of things coalesced at the start of 2019 that sort of made it, allowed me to take the step into this format.
Yeah, my follow-up was going to be how does it compare to writing a traditional film? But I guess you sort of answer that. It's that freedom of choice to play around with different timelines and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, I find it exactly, Michael. It's quite liberating in that sense, because it's obviously if you're making a linear film, you have to make you may have loads of ideas about what the direction a scene is going in or the direction a character is going in, but you have to make one definitive choice and then carry that through as a through line. But here, you don't need to discard all of those other ideas. You can put them all in and just have them as separate branches that lead in different directions and take the story in different directions. So. It is quite liberating, and I think actors find that as well. I think the actors find it quite liberating for that same very reason, that they can play. They don't have to commit to one aspect of a character. They can explore those different characters that ordinarily would get thrown out in a rehearsal process, but they can keep all of those things and bring them to set and apply them in different ways as we shoot them. So yeah, it's a really liberating format, I would say.
I mean, even with the same scenes but shot differently, but the one scene in particular is when Callum, light spoilers, I don't know if we're going into spoilers, but not really spoilers, when Callum discloses that he also has a video date, depending on your choices and stuff, it is acted slightly differently, especially with Grace, there's that major moment which heartbreaking, but no, I mean, even that is just the subtleties of how the actors could play with the specific situations and seeing it pan out. As somebody who played it, I think I grabbed it it came out last week, I think, and then playing it 8 times since, just seeing the subtleties in the delivery, the look in their eyes, their excitement, the enthusiasm, it's quite fascinating. And again, credits to the writing, the actors,
no, thank you. They're all fantastic, and they ad-libbed a good amount of things as well. So they showcased their talent in many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, quick. I was going to ask, because we brought this up in the discussion that me and Mike had. So when they're debriefing, majority of the times, well, not in the bed scenes, but when they're like during the daytime, Callum is either stretching out his legs or playing a video game. And then you have Vinny, who's always cooking. Was there a specific reason for those, or was those direct, like...
I mean, it was always the reason for that was that I don't know if I've always had sometimes I have, specific times where I'll call my friends. Sure. And, whether it's the evening after I've eaten dinner or I'm just chilling, playing PlayStation or something, I'll call a friend up. Or if I'm driving somewhere, I'll always call a friend up while I'm driving. So that's just Vinny and Callum's thing. Like it's lunchtime, lunchtime, Vinny, he's cooking. He's not doing any work. He wants to call his boy. That's
No. I do love that you hide the controller in the game to not show what Callum's playing. However, Vinny in the background of the very first shot has an Xbox, clear as day. It's like, that's hilarious. It's like, what's that white box in the background?
Yeah.
Just decoration. It's fine.
Yeah. I think I do want to go into some spoilers. So what I'm going to do here for the people watching, this is going to be interactive. If you want to continue and hear this, first of all, play this game. It's I think it's on sale still on PlayStation Plus for some money off. It's really awesome experience. Please, by all means, so good. Fairly easy platinum, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, you have to play it through it multiple times, which, like, at a glance, it's like, I have to play through this game at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
You will want to play this game 10 times. Yeah. Like, it's easy. It's a fun platinum.
And I played it, the first time I played it was already at 50% of the trophies, just because I went the Maya run, which was a lot of trophies. So by all means, please, give this a shot. It is 5 dates. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation. It's on PC. Is anywhere else? Anyone else I'm missing? Stadia? You can go on Stadia?
No, I think that was that. I'm not sure if it's on Stadia.
That'd be great. Put it on Stadia. Why not? But anyways, it is on Xbox. It is on Xbox. It is on PlayStation. These are also backwards compatible with your PS5 and Xbox Series X. And of course, it is on PC.
Nintendo Switch.
Oh, Nintendo Switch. Everyone's got a Nintendo Switch. So definitely give this a shot. But you want trophies, so definitely play.
You want trophies. You want that platinum.
So for the next part, click here if you want to see the spoilers. I hope that I can get that to work.
So I've got a question. What's more important, appearance or intelligence?
Think very carefully.
Oh.
We've had our first date. Would you make a move?
If you're lucky, I'd ask you back to mine.
Cocky much?
Have a good one, Vinny.
Truth or dare?
Dare.
Yes! Vinny needs to get up and twerk.
Excuse me?
Get it?
Wow! I'm actually really impressed. That's the sexiest thing I've ever seen a guy do in my life.
Your strategy seems to be working.
You're 10 out of 10 in my books.
If you play your cards right.
What would you say if I invited you back to mine?
I love you.
Whoa. Chill, bro.
I think we've got something good here.
Cheers.
I think you're really cool.
So let's see how much more there is.
If lockdown was a game, you'd be winning it.
Callum, do you actually want to date me?
Get off. How do I hang this up? Get off.
So spoilers for 5 dates going forward. If we have any questions about that, by all means, I will say when I went the Maya run and I was with a friend and they were watching me play, or I think the way that we played was something would happen. I'd press the button that would show you the stats of all the people and percentages, and then I would actually have a debrief with my chat. and thank God I didn't have a camera because I was playing it off the PS5. That I would just be like, okay, what do I do here? Because I could have picked the one option, but then this and happened. And so with Maya specifically, the escalation of how that goes, I noticed that a lot of the other dates, and I don't know if it's just because I was playing it clean and sweet with it kind of has a rhythm to them to where it's like, cool, this is the end of the date. I don't know if it's just the way that I played those sections, but with Maya, it was going left and right all over the place.
Yeah.
Because there is obviously the relationship that she has that's from the past that's trying to reconnect. There's seemingly drug issues happening quite a bit. Which
Maya's just vibing, dude.
she's totally vibing.
chilling.
I was totally into
Vibing.
it. Well, so it's funny because there's the scene in when you do I believe we're doing Truth or Dare now. Yeah, we're doing Truth or Dare, I believe, in that one.
Yeah.
And one of the options was like, take off your clothes, check in your bag. And I was playing on stream, and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna do the take off my clothes thing. I'm gonna do take off my bag. It's the most boring option, except it's not, because she pulls out the white baggie.
Yeah. Take off your clothes.
Oh no! Well,
because
Is it a
last
trophy?
night, and I have it on my VOD that's going up.
Okay.
I have a trophy guide in front of me, and I'm looking at all the choices, and I see like the fourth one down is remove 4 pieces of clothing. That doesn't feel like the right answer. But I just committed, and thank God it was shoes and socks. I was like, shit, am I not going to be able to publish this on YouTube? Am I about to get banned on Twitch?
No, but if you do the option where it's like go in her bag, she pulls out a little white baggie, and there's a moment. And yeah.
Jesus.
And I had to pause and literally have a conversation. I think I have this VOD still on my Twitch. I had to have a conversation with them. I was like, what do I do? I mean, it's totally cool. I mean, drugs are fine if they're in very, like, you know, great, like certain things. Like, it was wild. We were having like an actual connection.
Be careful, Mario.
No, I mean like in terms of like in the way that I think she would be using it, not in a criminal way. I don't know. But in terms of going dramatic on certain things, like for instance, Saffron's panic attack, and then of course the reveal with Paige. Why were they specifically chosen for those sessions? Why did you choose those specific things? I mean, if you don't mind expounding upon the more complexities of the characters.
I think it just goes back to what we were discussing earlier about how, you know, I would approach. That was when I was sticking on my, you know, linear screenwriting head and wanting to create a diversity of, you know, of storylines that were also very relatable to all types of people who are in sort of my our age group, you know, you know, and I think, you know, pregnancy and motherhood in your 20s is something that's very relatable to you know, millions of people around the world, as well as, you know, mental health issues and so on and so forth. So, you know, these are all, you know, things that I wanted to, you know, include in the story because it was a story about, you know, fundamentally millennials and Gen Z, kind of the borderline between the two. But, you know, things, and I wanted to include themes and, you know, storylines and things that were relatable and prevalent to, you know, our experience now as young people in 2020. And, you know, that luckily I had all these 7 different characters. Maybe not Vinny doesn't really count because he's kind of a side for the audience.
He is a side for
you know, but at least especially with the 5 women, there was an opportunity. Again, going back to your question, Mario, about Maya, there's an opportunity to explore these themes and elements through 5 different, you know, canvases almost. That it was just there was no real logic specifically to them. It was just how in the writing process I was like it felt most comfortable there to include those themes and issues, to touch upon them with those characters.
And I think that shows, especially with the character of Paige, where I crashed and burned hard on the first day with her. I just could not. I just couldn't do it. I was like, Posh, like some of the Spice Girls, couldn't do it. And then I had my friend play, and then she got further in, and that's how I was able to watch and be like, oh, okay, now I'm actually warming up to Paige. The fact that this big secret that she feels like she has to carry, and if she can even rely on you as someone that could handle this, as well as her straight up like saying like I don't want to date, pretty much at the end of my version that I've seen. I found that because I thought that was actually fairly complex and interesting, and that's what kept drawing me back into the game and loving the characters individually. Like I'm sure I haven't finished the Grace playthrough, but I'm sure I'll warm up to Grace from the things that I've had.
A little bit,
you know. Okay, we'll see. but like I said, go ahead.
Really quick with Paige specifically, with the baby, the daughter. So I did Paige last night during my stream, and I was following the guide. The guide screwed me over heavily with Paige. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but for the last choice, it was
She's tough.
She's tough.
Yeah.
Would you want to become a father tomorrow or wait 15 years? The guy told me to wait 15 years, and then Vinny just goes on that he's not ready, yada yada yada, and then like you see, and this is before she drops that bomb. You see like there's something like ticking in her mind. And then you hear the cry, and then just the beautiful execution of "That's my daughter, I gotta go," and then just Vinny's reaction of just like, it just made that whole 15 years choice so much, or made the bomb drop because of the 15 years choice so much more impactful for me. And obviously, like I clearly didn't go on the third date because she did not like the answer. Restarting and just seeing the differences of like how. There was still like that ticking going on in her mind, but it was a more like, oh, maybe this person is right for Iona, which is a beautiful name. Shout out to Iona College in New Rochelle, right down the road. But yeah, I love how, depending on the choice, how those like twists and those bomb drops can be so much more impactful and in different ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and credit to Sinead Harnett. This is her first acting role, and so she to take on an interactive thing with this like this, and all of the other things that are involved in this project, and to smash out of the park like she has. She's awesome. This is fantastic.
No, yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to all of them, primarily because they really sold their things, and a lot of times in the game, I had to stop. I had to pause for the chat, and I'd talk to my chat and be like, yeah, I've been down this road before, and I know how this feels like, especially with Saffron with the panic attack. I had a girlfriend that actually done that quite a bit, and the decision was a no-brainer for me, what ended up having to be chosen, but I do saw that I'm curious of what that route is if I didn't do it, and I'm glad this could provide that. But again, like I said, I think that the characters are so well-rounded with what their inevitable through line is throughout the game. I think is actually very fairly fleshed out for the 3-act structure, like you said. But yeah, no, I really, really, really enjoyed this game quite a bit.
Now, with Paige, how you mentioned like in the non-spoiler chat, we were talking about like the debriefing, and like this is like Callum and Vinny's thing, just Callum being just a sexy lion on the bed, and Vinny just chilling, cooking. With Paige's post-second date debrief, they're playing what seems like a medieval horror game. What's the story behind that? Because first, like,
Skyrim,
is that like a real thing? Maybe
made of scare. It's made of scare.
Oh, that's made of scare.
Well,
oh my god!
It's made of scare. Yeah.
Okay.
As well as Interactive's made of scare.
Okay, so now I have to play Made of Scare. I submitted I asked for a review copy. I got denied, but I'm absolutely gonna buy it now because I want to play the hell out of that game. That looks so cool.
Yeah, Big Cal 05. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I was like, this is gonna be a fake thing. I'm gonna be excited for no reason. This is gonna suck. But
no,
awesome.
It's very real. It's very real.
I thought possibly with like your horror background, like that's just something you did, like so that was like an idea. But
no. It was.
Cool.
I wanted it to be. I wanted to have a bit where they were video chatting. They were playing online on something.
No.
So
awesome.
So and I was like, guys, do you have anything? And they were like, yeah. I was like, yeah, maybe Made of Scare because it just come out when we were doing post.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah, let's do it. Made of Square, even though they Made of Scare, even though they don't have an online mode. maybe they can add one in now.
Yeah, right. True. Really, at the very least, it's like a great cute little Easter egg if you play that first and then you play this. It's like, oh, I recognize that, or vice versa. Now.
Yeah.
The Wells interactive universe.
Yeah.
Oh my god, if they interconnected in some way, that would be hilarious.
I would love 5 Dates in the Complex to be in the same universe. I think.
The guy from Late Shift shows up.
Yeah.
Still on the run from the killing his mother.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything more other defined other than the characters, which I think we hit on pretty well. The Colin relationship, which is fantastic.
Speaking of the characters, this is a really softball question. Maybe not a softball question for you. Who's your favorite? What's the best pairing, and why is it Saffron? You asked me before we start recording who my favorite is. It's clearly Saffron, but in your eyes, what's the best pairing, and what was the most fun to write? If I know it's like choosing your own kid, but you know.
It is a bit like that. I think they all, again, going back to what we've already discussed, I think they're all are such different characters and explore such different themes and such different things. It was actually such an interesting thing to write them all because they were all. It felt like I was writing 5 different films, kind of, with 5 different rom-coms, with in their dynamic with Vinny and all of these characters. So I think I'm gonna sit on the fence a bit and say that I like them all for very different reasons, because they all appeal to different parts of my personality and myself. And I think, again, going back to what Mario said, and when you were live streaming and you were chatting the chat, and your response to Maya when she pulled out the white baggie, it may be different to the other people's responses, because everybody has different viewpoints on drug use and drug taking, and to some people it's a big problem, some people it's not a big problem, some people it's a big turn on, some people it's a big turn off. And I think this game is that and this interactive film is that everyone will. I would want players and viewers to bring their own personality to Vinny as much as possible, because that's how you're going to get different interpretations of it. And I think this is something like dating and relationships. Everyone has their own different viewpoint on it, and that for me, that's the beauty of the project. That seeing different people respond to different characters in different ways. Some people want that hardness, that harshness, that high achieving grace mentality. To some people that that's what they are looking for. To other people, they're looking for something they're looking for a bit more excitement and unpredictability from Maya. To other people, they're looking for something a bit more holistic and altruistic and mellow with Saffron. To other people, they'll be looking for something a bit they want to go to rooftop bars and hang out and have a good time with someone like Paige. But other people, they maybe want something very much more hanging out and chilling out with someone like Shayna. Also, other people, they just want the perfect partner like Callum. But
yes, that's the only. See, this is a trick question. It is Callum.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I think the for me, again, I'm gonna sit on the fence here, but I think the perfect pairing is very much for who the player thinks is the perfect pairing for them, rather than the perfect pairing for Vinny. That would be what I would say, and that's how I want people to play it. And
for sure.
That's how I played my first run. I played as me. I picked Aries. I picked entertainer or whatever the category for that was. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go this route. And I felt that, like I said, I did the swerve. I thought I was going Saffron, but really I think Maya was the fit for me. And then went on that whole journey with myself, which was pretty remarkable.
And that was amazing to hear. That was amazing to hear that, you guys, you go into it thinking one thing about yourself and about the character.
Yes.
And then it can go a completely different way. Like Mike, you were talking about your perception of Paige. So that for me, that's the way to really experience this, and it means so much that you guys have experienced it like that.
Yeah, it was interesting. My first playthrough, we went Saffron, best girl. But it was very interesting playing it next to my wife, and I had to be very careful.
Oh yeah.
I was like, and like I didn't play the coward's way. I played with the timer, so it was very like
that's called it's called party way. Where you play with your friends in the room.
That was the coward's way. And playing it next to her and just yelling at her, not violently or anything, but yelling when Saffron says oh yeah, I'm gonna post lockdown, I'm gonna go away, go see the sights, go different countries, all that kind of stuff, and then travel. That was the word I was looking for. And then you see the timer go down. I'm like, and you see you go with her, you wait for her, or you don't do anything. Clearly, it's not you don't do anything. But then I'm yelling at Kelsey oh my god, is it too forward? Is it too creepy and forward to invite myself? Is it not enough to just wait for her? Is it romantic to wait for her? And just those moments, especially with the timer, is so good. And goddamn, I hate when I miss the timer, and I'm so scared for that split second if Vinny's gonna fuck things up.
Yeah.
When it's out of your control.
It's very interesting playing with your real life romantic partner.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
That's great.
Who did your wife want to end up with?
Oh, Saffron all the way.
I think 6-1 in the entirety is Saffron.
It's all Saffron.
Yeah, the House of Saffron.
All around. House of Saffron.
But it's Saffron.
It's Colin.
One day when I have the ability to hack this game and mod this game.
Yeah.
You just gotta hire the actor that plays Colin and then add a few scenes.
all my friends have ended up with Maya, I think.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
I think
Yeah,
Maya's
all
my
friends-
second choice.
Mm.
I mean, other than I didn't get the white baggie, but I did kind of fall off with her last night. That might have changed things.
I don't know. There's something about the accent, the way she talks. Oh, quick question.
I
And
know.
I wanted to bring it up. Who's the roommate? Is there a specific in joke? It was you.
That's you.
Yes.
It's my voice. It's my voice, yeah.
I've never played because I was playing it with on stream, and I was just like, "Oh, who's that guy screaming about drugs?"
That's so good.
That was me. There was, it was. I actually had. I think I had COVID when I recorded that.
Oh no!
I had COVID a couple of months ago, and it was like the end of the editing process, like right at the end, and we were just doing everything, and we were like, oh, we need a voice for this stuff, and I was like, I'm really kind of ill, and I was like, I'll record it anyway. I'll record it anyway, and then I got the COVID test that week, and then got it off. I was like, oh my god.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so trivia.
Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm glad you're so much better now.
Yeah, I also had it like towards the end of February where we didn't really know what the hell.
Oh, you had it early. Oh,
Man,
so you
it
had
sucks.
it early.
It sucks.
Yeah, it was. I was feeling really tired. I was really tired. I was like,
And this was we were at PAX East towards the end of February, just covering games or whatever. And the night before I left for my train to Boston because I'm in New York, started feeling that itch in my throat, like that, like, oh, I'm gonna get sick. This sucks. And very quickly, those 4 days, like I got worse and worse and worse. And there's nothing worse than like feeling like garbage and having to like I'm trying to like make connections with publishers and developers and just trying to keep up that front. With how we were, because this year at PAX we didn't get media, and if you have a media pass, it makes things way easier. So with we like to call it civilian badges. With the civilian badges, we would wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, get online at 8 o'clock so we could hit our spots early, do that thing, go to friends panels. We usually organize meetups around town every day, and then record a podcast like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm up until 4 editing and processing and stuff, and then do it again the next day. I don't know how I didn't kill myself.
That wouldn't have helped. Did you have the cough and everything as well? Or
I had everything, man.
My God.
Did you lose your taste?
Now,
Did you lose your taste and smell?
I can't tell. So Paul, I have my own type of like Maya addiction, which is called Monster Energy Peach Tea. So I can't tell if the no tasting was just from like downing those constantly, like combined with Zycam.
I love you combine it to Maya's wine drinking.
Oh, I mean, I was referring to the cocaine, but we go with the wine drinking.
Oh boy.
Yeah, man. It's.
What is worse, COVID, Michael, or was it going to Ride Fest for 5 days?
Oh, Ride Fest. Someone like that's why I connected with Maya too. I saw the picture of the festival. I was like, Maya's my girl. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ride Fest Mike is a fucking alien, my dude.
I think that's probably a good place where we can wrap this up. Again,
we have to wrap up on me comparing Monster to cocaine. God damn.
Yes.
I'll end on a positive note.
And on a positive. Go ahead.
If you could tease anything, or like, so what's next? Are you like taking a break? Are you kind of just relaxing and enjoying quote unquote lockdown, or do you have something in the works? Or
yeah, not at all. So when I went into this year, I was hoping to shoot another live action interactive film, but that had to get postponed, obviously.
Sure.
So hopefully that looks like it's back on again, and we hopefully will be shooting it sort of like February, March next year. So I'm actually in the process of doing a little rewrite on that script at the moment, and then hopefully getting into pre-production on that. So yeah, watch this space. Hopefully, COVID doesn't throw any more spanners in the works. It's just been announced in the UK today that they're going to start vaccinating people at the start of next week. So hopefully the situation is going to improve, and it'll become easier to shoot things, and there'll be something. There'll be sooner rather than later. There'll be something new out from me next year.
Well, you're not in America, so you're in better hands.
We'll just enjoy it from over here while we're still trapped in our houses.
Anything you could say no. This is just us like fishing. Anything you could lightly tease about it? You don't have to.
What about 6 dates?
Genre-wise, it's more in the direction of previous stuff. Of my previous stuff, sort of thriller kind of direction. But I'd love to do more rom-coms in this space for sure. And who knows about sequels and such. too early for me to say anything
For sure.
or anything. But yeah, I'd love to. I can say that for sure. I'd love to.
I mean, we have to see what happens when they meet in person. Come on.
Yeah.
I would love it. And my favorite romantic series of all time is actually the Before trilogy, which is Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight.
Yeah,
I would love for there to be a years later or whatever. It's like, oh, and he just went on all these dates again or whatever. What's going on in their lives, you know?
Yeah.
That's just me loving that movie so much.
Again, those are amazing.
Again, thank you so much, Paul, for being here. This has been a great honor to get to chat with you, to fall in love with a piece of media, and then being able to talk to the person that made it right away and actually connect in that way. I think it's been really great. And you've been very
likewise, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you've been living on Twitter for both our feeds. So again, thank you so much. And we're trying to spread the word as much as possible about this game to get it out there, because I think it is something special in a time like this. So definitely something I needed, like Mike said. So
yeah, we said this before recording, but again, Paul, I desperately needed this year. I needed some lighthearted, positive vibes, because I mean, as somebody who was furloughed, lost his job, just been dealing with like just trying to survive off unemployment, and obviously like doing things like content with Mario and just my own kind of things, which have been keeping me going. I really needed to turn off and just interact in this like positive, mostly lighthearted way, depending on the situation. So thank you, seriously.
Yeah. No, thank you guys, and honestly, that means the world to me as a filmmaker to hear, because this is why I do it, for you guys to connect with it, and hopefully connect with it in the way you guys have. So it means the world to me, and it helps me, keeps me hungry, keeps me wanting to do more and put out more stuff for you guys to experience. So thank you. It means a lot, honestly.
No, absolutely. Paul, if you can you tell everyone where you can find you on the internet? You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. My handle is just my name, Paul Raschid, PaulRaschid. And I've got a website that just launched as well, which is paulraschid.com. Yeah, PaulRaschid. .com if you want to check me out there as well. Those are the main portals to take a look at my work and get to know me a bit more if you want to. And again, of course, 5 dates. If you were in the last video, if we're all in the same video, I'm not sure how I'm editing this. 5 dates is available on Xbox One, X and PS4, and Switch and PC, but also backwards compatible with the PS5 and the Series X. So please don't miss out. That's how I bought it. I bought it on the PS5. Mike, can you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
Sure. You could find my work on 61indie.com. That's just at 61indie on all socials. And then personally, you can find me at Mixtoundro on everywhere.
That's right. And you doing a bunch of great videos on your YouTube channel. Of course, I saw you did the unboxing for the Bug Snacks.
Yeah, so I just started a passion project. As you can tell, I love vinyl. I spent way too much money on vinyl. So we're doing 6-1 spins, where I'm doing like just features on my favorite video game vinyl pressings. So I'm going to start pumping those out a little more. We have some really cool web series in the works. Like I mentioned earlier, Let's Get Weird. We're just going to play a bunch of weird games. And I guess the biggest thing on New Year's Eve, we were doing our second 12-hour Extra Life stream, raising money for the Children's Miracle Hospital Network. So come hang out. If we hit our goal, we are going to celebrate New Year's in every time zone. We're just going to stay up and just party.
Are you doing the shot every hour like you guys talked about? Or you guys nix that, because that sounded insane?
Well, I could get out of it because I don't drink, but I can make Kelsey take 2 shots.
There you go. 2 shots.
Shot of Monster. Shot of Monster.
Yeah, and then I'll be up for weeks. It's great. And go all night.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, of course, you can find me here at DualShockers at youtube.com/DualShockers, on Twitter at @Mario Rivera. And until next time.
#Team Callum.
#Team Callum.